Signed, sealed. Seduced Part 6. Chapter 22. Lovers quarrel in chains. The holding room wasn't a cell. That would have been too obvious. Too harsh. Too true. Instead, it was a long, windowless suite inside the villa's private security wing, sterile and quiet, with marble floors and cream-colored walls that made Clara's wedding gown look ghostly. They hadn't taken her dress. Only her phone. Only her dignity. The skirt had ripped at the back during the scuffle. Her hair had fallen from its comb. The train trailed behind her like a crumpled sheet. She looked like a painting someone had thrown water on. She sat in the single chair in the center of the room, staring down at her hands. The engagement ring still glittered. She hated it. But she hadn't taken it off. Not yet. The door opened. She didn't look up. She didn't need to. She felt his presence before he said a word. Dario. Quiet. Clean. Still in the white suit. No blood. No scratches. No wrinkles. Untouched. Like none of this had happened to him. Just to her. She didn't move. Not even as he crossed the room, footsteps soft against the tile, and came to stand a few feet in front of her. He didn't sit. Didn't speak. Waited. And she, after a long, suffocating silence, finally looked up. Her eyes were red. Not from crying. From rage. He opened his mouth to speak, crack. Her hand flew before she even realized it. The slap landed hard. Palm to cheek. The sound echoed through the empty room like a gunshot. Dario's face whipped slightly to the side. He didn't flinch. He blinked once. His voice was calm. Feel better? No, she said, her throat raw. Not yet. He straightened. Didn't touch his face. Didn't react. Just studied her. You planned it, she hissed. The police. The warrant. All of it. I had to. No, you wanted to. I needed you to understand. She stood. Too fast. The chair scraped back with a screech. Understand what, Dario, she said. That you own me. That every time I try to leave, you tighten the leash. You lied. Again. You destroyed the wedding, my life, just to stage another scene for the press. He didn't argue. Didn't defend. Just looked at her with maddening stillness. Then said, quietly, now you know how it feels to be trapped. She froze. His voice was softer now. Measured. Low. You think this is a game I built to hurt you? Clara, I was born into this. I never had a choice. Every deal I've made, every lie I've told, none of it has ever been mine. I didn't pick this. I inherited it. She shook her head. That's not the same. You manipulate. You seduce. You pretend to give me power, I gave you power. No. You gave me a cage with gold trim and called it a gift. His eyes flashed for just a moment. And then, quiet again. You still think you're different from me, he said. She said nothing. He stepped closer. I lied to the press, he said. I lied to the police. I created a public arrest to stop a wedding you didn't even fight. And do you know what everyone believed? She looked up at him. That I was the victim. He moved even closer now. Just inches away. Do you want to know why they believe me? He whispered. Because people like you don't get to control the story. Not in this world. Not without me. Her breath hitched. He was close enough now that she could smell him: smoke, citrus, leather. Everything she used to associate with lust. Now it just smelled like complication. You said you loved me once, she said quietly. He didn't answer. Instead, he leaned in. Paused. His breath brushed her jaw. And then, he kissed her. It wasn't violent. Not like the kiss in the courtyard. And it wasn't performative, like the one for the paparazzi. It was real. Soft. Intentional. Full of things that had no place here: memory, heat, confusion. Clara's hands trembled. But she didn't stop him. Not because she forgave him. Not because she believed him. But because she was too exhausted to resist something that felt, if only for a moment, like it made her human again. He pulled back. Just slightly. Their foreheads nearly touching. Neither one spoke. And for the first time since this whole game began, Clara wasn't sure who she was angrier at. Dario. Or herself. Chapter 23: Family Secrets. Clara sat alone in the villa's private library now, a long, narrow room walled in walnut and dust, tucked behind a false panel off the main hallway. It was the only room that didn't feel like a set. There were no cameras here. No staff. No fresh flowers in hand-blown crystal. No mirrors. Just old books, silence, and a worn Persian rug that still smelled faintly of cigar smoke and old paper. She sat curled in a reading chair near the hearth, knees drawn to her chest, wrapped in an oversized cashmere robe someone had left in her suite. The wedding dress was gone. Her makeup had been wiped away. The ring still sat on her finger, not because she wanted it there, but because it felt fused to her hand now. Hours had passed since the fake arrest. Since the kiss. Since she'd looked Dario in the eye and saw something she didn't want to believe: not love, not lust, not hatred. Intention. Like he'd known from the beginning that she'd end up exactly here. And the part that terrified her most. Maybe he had. The door opened. She didn't look up. She didn't need to. Dario entered the room with the quiet authority of someone who didn't knock, because he'd never been told he needed to. He crossed the carpet slowly, without speaking, and took the chair across from her. Not close enough to touch. But close enough to be the only thing she saw. Silence stretched between them. The fire crackled softly in the grate. When he finally spoke, his voice was lower than usual. Measured. Intentional. Did you ever wonder why it was you? She didn't respond. Not with words. Just lifted her head, slowly. Eyes tired. Jaw tight. He didn't wait for permission. Out of all the junior lawyers in Milan, he said, why they sent you to deliver the contract. Her stomach twisted. She'd thought about it. She'd obsessed over it. In the early days, she'd told herself it was luck. Then maybe sabotage. Then seduction. But not this. Not what he was about to say. It wasn't chance, he said. And then he took a small, folded envelope from his jacket pocket. Plain. Cream-colored. No markings. He placed it on the table between them. Clara stared at it. Didn't move. He waited. And then, with a soft exhale, he added. Your father signed it. She blinked. What? Dario nodded toward the envelope. Go on. Clara reached out slowly, as if the paper might burn her. She unfolded the flap. Inside, 2 documents. The first, an old contract. Dated 1999. Between Romano and Partners and Vescari Holdings. Her father's signature was at the bottom. Strong. Clean. Familiar. She recognized it from old birthday cards. From the letter he left when he died. Above his name, a clause. Joint beneficiaries agreement. And beside it, a handwritten note. Dario, when the time comes, honor this. Leonardo. Her hands began to shake. She picked up the second document. This one was a letter. Typed. Simple. To whom it may concern. In the event of my death, I entrust the Romano estate to remain within the protective network of the Vescari family. Clara Isabella Romano is to be considered a legacy asset, with binding ties to the consortium. Should she choose to enter the legal field, her loyalty is assumed. Should she enter the Vescari family, by marriage or merger, her allegiance is ensured. Leonardo Romano. January 2001. Clara dropped the page like it was covered in blood. She stood. Walked backward. Shaking her head. No, she whispered. He never would've. He did, Dario said softly. I was 12 when they made the deal. Our fathers. We were both children. She pressed her hands to her face. Is that why you picked me? She snapped. Why you flirted? Why you brought me here? Why you? Clara, he interrupted gently, I didn't pick you. He stood. Moved closer. His voice dropped to something quieter than breath. You were already mine. Her eyes filled. Not from sadness. From the feeling of the floor disappearing. You knew, she said. From the beginning. He nodded. From the moment you walked into the villa with that envelope, I knew who you were. She backed away. Why didn't you tell me? He looked down for a moment. Then met her eyes. And whispered, because this was destiny. Chapter 24, The Ultimate Betrayal. The press event was scheduled for noon. By 11:45, the rooftop garden of the Vescari Financial Tower was overflowing with journalists, news crews, socialites, foreign dignitaries, and more bodyguards than wait staff. White hydrangeas. White wine. White lies. Everything gleamed. Crystal glasses clinked against marble. Silk suits rustled. Laughter glittered across the air like the confetti of powerful men. Clara stood inside a curtained prep room just off the stage, staring at her own reflection in a tall dressing mirror. She didn't recognize the woman. Sleek navy power dress. Diamond earrings. Pale pink lipstick. Perfectly measured elegance. Not a hair out of place. A stylist bustled around her, straightening the hem. A PR rep rehearsed her lines. A tech assistant checked her mic, nodding briskly. They treated her like a politician. A brand. Because now, she was. And she had a plan. Today, Clara would speak at the podium. Not as the fiancé of Italy's most mysterious billionaire, not as the pretty pawn from the tabloid covers. But as a woman ready to expose everything. She had memorized every word of her speech. Had hidden a written copy in her heel. Had rehearsed it again and again in the mirror until her voice no longer shook. She was going to name names. Reveal the falsified contract. The laundering. The fake arrest. The forged marriage license. The microphone. The lies. And she would do it on camera, with the world watching. This was her last card. And she was ready to play it. The curtain opened. She walked out into blinding sun, heels steady, spine straight, lips tight. The applause began before she even reached the podium. Dario stood to the left of the stage in a dove-grey suit, surrounded by his advisors. Calm. Perfect. The wolf in his natural habitat. He didn't smile at her. But his eyes tracked her every step. The crowd shimmered beneath her. Hundreds of faces. Cameras. Flashbulbs. Streaming platforms. Her image was being broadcast live. She reached the podium. Placed her hands carefully on the sides. The teleprompter activated. Clara opened her mouth, and froze. The words scrolling on the screen weren't hers. They were written in her voice. Her cadence. But not her message. She blinked. Read again. And felt the ground shift beneath her. Today I stand here not as a victim, but as a partner. I take full responsibility for the financial decisions made during the expansion of the Alzara Group. My signature was no accident. My alliance with Dario Vescari is legal, intentional, and eternal. Clara Isabella Romano. Her heart stopped. It was a confession. Public. Live. Broadcasted to millions. Signed with her name. A fake. Another one. The words kept scrolling. To those in doubt, yes, I was involved in the initial investment of the casino under scrutiny. And yes, I have chosen to dedicate my life to this man, this empire, and this legacy. Clara's hand gripped the podium so tightly her knuckles went white. Someone backstage gave her a thumbs up. They thought she was reading it. They all thought she agreed. Panic coiled inside her chest. She looked at Dario. He was already walking toward her. Slowly. Deliberately. Smiling just enough. The crowd applauded again. Not for her. For them. He reached her at the podium. Placed his hand gently on hers. And leaned in. Say nothing, he whispered. If you speak now, the real files go to the prosecutors. She gasped. Her eyes burned. I told you, he murmured, we go down together. And then, he kissed her. Not like the others. This one was calculated. Public. A full display of unity. Of agreement. Flashbulbs exploded around them. The crowd erupted. Some cheered. Some gasped. Some shouted out questions. But all they saw was the kiss. Not the tremble in her hands. Not the betrayal carved deep beneath her skin. Dario stepped back, smiling like a man who'd just been forgiven. Cameras turned to Clara. Waiting. Recording. Wanting her to smile. She didn't. But she didn't speak either. Because she knew, he wasn't bluffing. Chapter 25, The Cliffhanger Finale. The balcony overlooked Lake Como like a throne over a kingdom. The sun had just begun to set, casting gold and rose across the water. Light scattered through the columns, painting soft lines across the white stone floors and long curtains. The sky was bleeding into dusk. It should have been beautiful. But Clara felt nothing. She stood with both hands on the cold marble railing, watching the lake without seeing it, her bare feet quiet against the floor. The silk robe she wore was weightless, white, barely there, another costume in a play she no longer believed in. The wedding had been yesterday. The press conference. This morning. And now the villa was eerily silent. No caterers. No music. No staff bustling in the wings. Just the faint hum of distant waves and the occasional pop of a bottle opening somewhere behind her. She didn't turn around. She didn't need to. She heard him. Dario approached slowly, like he always did, with rhythm. As if even his footsteps had choreography. He didn't say her name. Didn't greet her. Instead, he extended his hand beside her, holding a single, sweating flute of champagne. She stared at it. Didn't take it. Yet. I'm not toasting you, she said flatly. Dario let out a low, amused sound. No. She turned then. Finally. Eyes sharp. Barefaced. Raw. There was no mascara left to cry off. No earrings. No gloss. She was herself, stripped of artifice, but not of strength. You humiliated me, she said. He gave a small shrug. You nearly exposed me on live television. Seems fair. You used me. I used what your father gave me, he said. You were already signed over. I just accepted the delivery. She stepped toward him now. One pace. Measured. Her voice dropped. Not weaker, deadlier. You destroyed any chance I ever had at a normal life. Dario studied her. Then, slowly, maddeningly, he smirked. And held out the champagne again. We weren't built for normal. She didn't take it. Not right away. She looked at the glass, then at him. Then back to the water. The silence stretched long again, but this time it wasn't hollow. It was charged. Something unspoken swirled between them. Resentment. History. Chemistry. And something new now, finality. Clara turned back to the railing and leaned against it, closing her eyes for a moment. I'll never forgive you, she said quietly. The wind caught her hair and pushed it across her cheek. She didn't brush it away. Behind her, Dario sipped the champagne himself. I wouldn't expect you to, he said simply. She heard the click of glass on stone as he set the second flute down beside her. The conversation, like everything else between them, was unfinished. Unbalanced. Dangerous. And then, something broke the spell. A sharp sound. Paper. Rustling in the breeze. Clara glanced down. There, near the edge of the balcony, caught against one of the ornate chair legs, was a folded tabloid newspaper, clearly dropped or blown up from the garden below. The headline was angled, but readable. Black bold letters. Too large. Too certain. Mrs. Vescari inherits empire. Husband missing after private flight vanishes off Corsican coast. Clara didn't breathe. For a full 5 seconds. Then, slowly, she crouched. Picked up the paper. Scanned it. Her face. Again. Another photograph of the two of them, smiling, unified, sealed in that final kiss. Below it, speculation. Anonymous sources. Flight logs. Conflicting reports. The Vescari private jet, unaccounted for as of 3:45 a.m. No confirmation of death. Just the word missing in all caps. She looked up. Dario was gone. Not footsteps. No sound. Just, gone. The glass still sweated beside her. But the man who had haunted every inch of her life was suddenly not there. She turned in a slow circle. Nothing. No voice. No coat. Just the wind. And the newspaper in her hand. Still warm from the sun. Epilogue La Regina. 6 months later. Milan. Rain slid down the windows of the penthouse suite like silk threads, soft, steady, relentless. The city below pulsed with cold neon and whispered traffic. Headlines still flickered across billboards. Clara's name still appeared on scrolls, usually next to Dario's. But Dario was still missing. Presumed dead. Still no wreckage. No remains. No black box. Just the myth of a man who vanished. And the woman he left behind. Clara stood barefoot on the marble floor of her new office, no longer a junior associate, no longer a pawn of Bellini and Sons. The firm had collapsed under media scrutiny weeks after the wedding debacle. Now, Romano and Vescari Global Holdings. She hadn't changed the name. Let the vultures circle. Let them underestimate her. She wore black now, always. Structured. Cold. Impeccable. Not mourning. Not grieving. Just, commanding. The world had moved on from Dario. She hadn't. But she didn't chase ghosts. Not anymore. Now, they chased her. A knock at the glass door. A man entered. Mid-40s. Tall. Nervous. Bank rep. Lawyer. CEO. They all blurred together now. He cleared his throat. Mrs. Vescari, he said. They've confirmed your clearance. The Swiss account has been unfrozen. Clara didn't blink. Good, she said. Tell them to initiate the transfer. All of it. The man hesitated. All. But. She turned her head, slowly. He stopped speaking. And nodded. Of course. He left. She turned back to the rain. Raised a fresh espresso to her lips. Her ring caught the light. The same ring. Still on her finger. Not because of love. But because it still opened vaults in 6 countries. On her desk sat a red envelope. No return address. Just her name, in handwriting she didn't recognize. She hadn't opened it. Not yet. But she would. Later. Maybe. When it suited her. Behind her, a screen flickered to life. Security footage from her properties across Italy. She watched without emotion as one feed caught a blur, a tall figure in a coat, standing at the edge of the Vescari vineyard. Face hidden. But posture. Familiar. Clara smiled. Just slightly. The kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. The kind that says, I see you. Then she whispered, just for herself. Checkmate, darling. And walked into the next room. That's the end of this story, but trust me, the next one is even more thrilling. We drop fresh episodes every day, so don't miss out. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned, you won't want to miss what's coming next.
Because every broken heart deserves a comeback. If this story touched you, don't forget to subscribe for more emotional romance every week. Hit like, drop a comment, and ring the bell so you never miss a moment of romance, redemption, and powerful love. And don't keep the drama to yourself, share this story with someone who lives for twists just like you. Thanks for listening, and remember, sometimes the best comeback is becoming unforgettable.